Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dialogue Dome. Hope you all are doing very well. My name is Brendan. This is Max over here, and today we are going to be talking about things we love and hate about the states that we live in. And Max is
Oh,
going to have a long list of cons.
yes, I am,
Um,
unfortunately.
Can I just say for the record, I'm wearing a BC High Eagles shirt, which, for those of you who do not know, is Boston College High School.
Ooh.
I'm from Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't worn this shirt in about 15 years, so it was
Hi.
just in my closet.
I'm wearing Donald Duck because I don't have anything from my high school or state.
Which is,
I live in Idaho.
yeah, he lives in, the state that looks like it's pointing the middle finger up at the sky. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. So you could say that you wore the correct shirt because Donald Duck is your frustrations about all the things about the state.
I suppose if we wanted to look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
I wore an angry Donald Duck t-shirt because
Yes.
I'll get into it later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
piss off so many Idahoans.
Well, I've heard that everybody who is born in Idaho wants to get out of Idaho. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, so so I live in Boston,
Nice.
particularly south of Boston. Um, and basically, for those of you who are from Massachusetts, know that everybody sees Boston in Massachusetts as like the center of the universe. That's like
Mhm.
kind of like the thing. And whenever anyone thinks of Massachusetts, they think of Boston, and they don't think of anywhere else besides Boston, even though there are plenty of other places. Um, there's a lot of good things and bad things about Boston, and I'll get into that. But
Sure.
I've been living here since I was 4 months old. I don't know if
Hmm.
you know. I don't know if I ever said this on the channel. I'm adopted.
Oh, yeah.
I was originally born in Michigan, and then my parents adopted me, and they flew me up here to Massachusetts. So I've been here since I was 4 months old. I moved out of
Nice.
state for 2 years, but then I came back. So
Mhm.
that's my life here. What about you, Max?
Nice. I was born and raised in a small rural community that I won't give the name of because it's way too fucking small for people to, like, come and find me.
Yeah, you won't know where he lives.
You
He
won't
no,
know, like,
you won't know.
it's
Let's just say it's on the part that's the skinny part of Idaho. It's way up
there's
there.
there's no reason for you to come out here or near me or why. Just know that I grew up in, like, the middle of fucking nowhere. It's all you need to know.
It's a miracle that he has good internet. Finally. When
Yeah,
in
finally.
fact, I'll even mention this when Max and I first had it, like when we first started our friendship.
Mhm.
What is it? 6 years ago now? Wow, it's been a while.
God, I think so,
God,
yeah.
that's oof. Wow, it's been a
Uh,
long time. I just kind
We're
of didn't
get
realize that
we're
until
getting
right now.
old. We're
Um,
getting old.
yeah,
Anyway.
when Max and I started our friendship, Max
Mhm.
had probably some of the worst
Oh,
internet I've ever
it
seen.
was so
What did
bad.
you? Well, do we want to bring up internet companies?
Probably not. We don't
Yeah,
need to worry about it too much.
yeah.
Most of the internet companies that I did have, they're defunct and they don't exist anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, the one that I'm currently using seems to be working fine, and I'm all right with that. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, they finally got really good internet out to you finally after all this time,
Mhm.
which is good. Um, yeah, I've never had a problem with internet here personally, but that's because I also live
You
about
don't
20
say.
minutes away from the city. So, um,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's just funny to me how like we started off with you having horrible internet and now it's great, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, Max lives in a very small part of Idaho that
Yep.
most of you will never ever know or visit or
Never
ever even
know,
see with
never
your own
need to
eyes.
visit, never understand.
Which is ironic because again, I'm not gonna say the name of my actual town because I don't want people
Sure.
coming to find me here that don't know
Right.
me. Sorry, stalkers. Gonna have to wait a little longer for that one.
A little bit longer.
Um,
They've already triangulated our position,
yeah,
let's be
yeah,
honest. We've
probably.
given away too much detail.
I know, yeah. Um, I actually live in a small town as well. Nobody would really know where my town is, even though I live 20 minutes
Mhm.
from the city. It's not like a known, famous town. It's a place where the people from my town, we say, this is a town where you live in. You don't do things in this town. You just live
Mm.
here. But the cool thing is that we have access, like, if we go literally northwest, east, or south, we literally have something available for us within
Mhm.
10 minutes. So, like, we're we're not in the middle of nowhere. We're in the middle of, like, a bunch of different, very populated areas. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
I have to drive 3 hours before I hit a truly populated area where I can actually do stuff.
Wow. Oof.
Where I actually feel like I can do things.
My work is 15 minutes away, and that's the closest mall to me. So there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a mall about half an hour away from me, but
Mhm.
like that's kind of it. Like go out and eat fast food, hit up the movie theater or troll the mall. That's kind of it.
Mm.
That's all I've got. Or go
Yeah.
to a bar. God,
Oh
no.
God. Did we dare bring up the Moscow
Should
Mule
we
joke?
should we
Oh
dare
my
should we
God.
dare bring up my bar
Go
experiences?
ahead.
Like
Go ahead.
I
Just go ahead. You know you want to.
okay. So I went out drinking with some friends. And I'm not much of an alcohol connoisseur or person that like knows a lot about drinks, but I know that I wanted to try something. So we're going out for one of my friends' birthdays and we're going bar hopping. And the bars around here are so fucking depressing. Like you see those bars in Western type movies, or you see like a bar scene in a movie where they're at some sort of Western bar, where it's like a handful of people who are all kind of sad. Maybe a group of them are playing pool in the background. The room is choked with smoke from everyone smoking cigarettes or something. That's it. That's exactly it. That's all of the bars near me. Is this really sad, depressing country bar.
Huh.
And what made it worse
Um,
is I'm sitting there with a bunch of friends trying to order drinks like Moscow mules or Irish coffee. And I have to explain to the bartender how to make these very simple cocktails. I kid you not. I ordered a Moscow Mule from one bar, and the guy brought out the copper cup, put some ice in it, and deadass looked me in the eye as he reached behind the bar and pulled out a pre-mix can, which he then proceeded to pop open and pour into my cup. And I was just livid. Absolutely hated it. I hate that there's nothing to do anywhere near me. And look at you. You've got Boston.
yeah.
Like I would kill to be able to like go to Boston, check out some of the theaters, the art museums,
Well,
the history, the
uh,
Americana. Anyway,
I offered you to move here, and you
I
said no.
know because it's so expensive.
Okay, yeah, that is one of the cons I will mention is that this fucking state is expensive.
It is so expensive to like, even if I could find and land a job, I'd still need to be making so much money to even just have an apartment.
True.
Ugh,
The difference is that they do pay you a lot more here than they would in Idaho, but
which is fair.
the cost of living has gone way up compared to the amount of, like, what's it
Mhm.
called? Salary has not gone up at all, really.
Yeah.
Um, that was actually one of the cons I was going to talk about was for
Mhm.
Massachusetts was the price of rent. So I'll give you I'll give you a um just like an estimate here. A
Mhm.
1-bedroom apartment here costs $1,500 a month usually, and that's cheap. I would say maybe not even necessarily 1,500. I've seen
Mhm.
1,400, but if you're going downtown Boston, it will be like $2,000 a month
Sure.
for a 1-bedroom apartment. And
Disgusting.
like you have to go, in my opinion, if you're going to live or have a job in Massachusetts, it's better to rent in a place like Rhode Island or out west, because
Mhm.
Rhode Island, a 1-bedroom condo or a 1-bedroom suite is around $1,000 a month. So if you get
Okay.
paid the amount of money you get paid in Massachusetts and you
Mhm.
rent in Rhode Island, which is not a super far drive away, it's about 45 minutes with no traffic, you can
Mhm.
save a lot of money doing that. And I have a lot of friends that have done that. Um,
Mm.
Another thing you can do is you can like go out west to a town called Worcester. A lot of
Mm.
people mispronounce it. They call it Worcester. That's how it's spelled. It's actually Worcester. Worcester
Right.
out there,
Like,
a 1-bedroom apartment could cost around 1,200 there, 1,300 there. So
okay.
yeah, but the farther west you go,
Yeah.
the longer a drive it will most likely take
Mhm.
to get to your job, which is likely going to be near or around the city. So,
Mhm.
there are cons to moving away from Boston as well. Because if you have a job in Boston, then driving to it is going to be the challenge. Because
Right.
driving in
Fair.
Boston, there's a reason why there's a meme for driving around in Boston is literally just fuck you. It's because no one
Mhm.
knows where the hell they're going. And even when you do, you have to have a GPS because you still don't know where you're going.
Mhm. See,
Um,
and I think all of that is a positive for Idaho. One
mhm.
of the very few I will
I was gonna
right now
say, talk
mention.
about a positive.
Cost of living in Idaho is actually relatively cheap. One
I
of the
wonder why.
cheapest, right? Yeah, at least here, anyway. I can't speak for Boise or any of the larger cities, but for my particular area, even if I went to the college town, which is like right next to me, um, the cheapest apartment there that I could find was like 700 bucks
That's pretty
ish.
good. I would
Yeah,
die for that here.
under 1,000, definitely under $1,000. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was good, but fucking like that's still pretty amazing that I can pay less than $1,000 and still have an apartment.
That's pretty awesome, yeah.
Yeah. Um, And, like, my job, I think, is one of the few exceptions to the payment rules because they don't really follow, minimum wage. Because minimum wage in Idaho is still the national minimum wage, which is 7.25 an
Oh
hour,
god.
and they refuse to raise it for any reason. If the government isn't raising the minimum wage, then neither will we. Fucking disgusting.
Which that's another whole conversation.
Exactly. But my job at least understands that people need to be able to live and survive if they're going to work there. So I'm getting a little bit better than minimum wage.
Fair.
Oh, um, I would say that I guess another positive that I could go on real quick is there's a lot of very beautiful landscapes
I was gonna
and
say, you have a very mountainous region there.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like you can go out, go on hikes, go on walks, find some trails, do the nature thing, especially if you're like huge into nature. I would argue that Idaho is one of the more beautiful places you could go to to see a lot of that.
Yeah, like,
Especially in the winter time. Idaho is so beautiful in the winter.
yeah, like one of
I
the things I
love it.
wanted to do was, a lot of people don't want to visit Montana. I
Mhm.
don't really either, but the reality is that the only reason I would go to Montana would be to take like pictures of the landscape and
Yeah.
just practice my photography there,
Oh, yeah.
you know. So I'm sure Idaho being in the same region
Mhm.
is the same kind of idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Great view of the Rockies from here. Wonderful tourist destinations to just kind of go out and about in nature. Absolutely great. And then you do that for 30 years, and then you tell me how well you fucking love it.
Can I ask you something weird?
Yeah.
You been to Coeur
Okay.
d'Alene?
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I've been to Coeur d'Alene, I think, on a like in high school. I was in drama, so there was like some competitions up there that I think we went up to Coeur d'Alene once, but I didn't visit.
Okay.
I went to one of the Coeur d'Alene high schools and then went home.
Okay. Because I was going to say to you, I've been to
Mhm.
Idaho, and that's where I went,
Really?
was Coeur d'Alene.
Really?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. I don't remember it. I was 6, but I've been there.
That's
So
fair.
I can check Idaho off my bucket list. I've seen it. I
Okay.
remember it being, I do remember it, even though when I was a kid, I do remember it being
Sure.
incredibly beautiful. I remember there being tons of
Oh,
mountains
yeah.
everywhere. And
Oh,
like,
yeah, and Coeur d'Alene is, like, super close to Canada and
yeah, there
stuff,
was like a
like
resort and it was overlooking a lake, and then there were like
Mhm.
tons and tons of mountains. Because was what happened is my cousins used to live in Spokane, Washington, so we just took a day and we took the
Mm.
drive up there. So
Sure.
yeah, which is still like a couple hours, but it
Mhm.
was nice.
No,
Um,
I gotcha.
one of the things that I will say that I definitely know you don't have as much of that I love
Mhm.
about Massachusetts, um, the incredibly rich amount of diversity here.
Mhm.
I gotta say that, as somebody who is a white American who doesn't really know a lot of different cultural stuff when it comes to other places around the world too much,
Mhm.
being in Boston has helped me so much to learn about other cultures. Um, I've met so many different people whose father, grandfather, whatever, have come from some other country to work here. Because one of the big things, and that's another pro about living in Massachusetts, we have the best
Sure.
medical field in the world here.
Nice.
We have, yeah, there are literally people like who will come here, like princes and like celebrities and like all these different people who will come to Massachusetts to get their medical stuff done because there's no other place in the world that has the medical equipment or the expertise that Boston Medical has.
Mm.
And so, you know, as a result of that, a lot of people who are in the medical field are from different countries. And
Sure.
so, those people have kids and they raise them here. And as a result, we have tons and tons of diverse people here. And, I will say that I could never picture myself personally being intentionally racist because of all the different cultures here. And that's why
Sure.
I love, you know, being in Massachusetts, because like I don't see race. I see just a sea of people. I don't really
Mhm.
see skin tone. I never have. And of course, I'm aware that I am a white privileged man saying that. I get that. I get that.
Sure,
But
sure,
like
sure.
the reality is that, I do my best to be aware of my white privilege, and
Mhm.
basically having an incredible diverse amount of people in Boston really helps ground me and keep me realizing that, because I know that there's a lot of different cultures and backgrounds and people who have gone through things that I would
Right.
never even imagine going through. So it's like it's amazing to have so many cultures here. I love it.
Mhm.
That's the best thing too, is you get the best of art, you get the best of food, you get the best of
Mhm.
drinking, you get the best of, I don't know, fucking gaming. I don't know. Uh,
I don't know.
you get the best of a lot of different things here because you have so many different people plopping themselves here. Kind of nice.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't get that. Um, I don't
After all
have
that, my
I
heartfelt
don't have
speech.
that.
Oh
No,
man.
I mean, that sounds absolutely amazing, but as far as my whole experience goes, like, to give people an idea, um, my high school in the entire time I was there had 2 African American kids
Wow.
the entire time for 4 years.
Going through the school system in my town had essentially we had a bunch of different diverse people. And
Mhm,
so I think that we really have a lot of different diverse cultures here. And it was like we just had a ton of different I just remember growing up with like a ton of different people and
mhm,
having just that just be normal around me, you know?
yeah,
I think that that's why I just love all different types of people. I've never really, wanted to insult somebody because of what they look like or who they
right.
love. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
It's because we just grew up with I grew up with so many different kinds of people. So I don't know.
Mhm. I think it certainly helped that my mother was initially from California, which is probably
Well,
why
that's good.
I
How the
don't do
hell did
that.
she end up in Idaho?
Fucking I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know why, and I'm sure there's plenty of Idahoans out there that is going to resent the fact that my mother was from California, because if it's one thing that Idahoans hate more than anything else is that people coming to Idaho.
That's so ironic
It's
considering no one's
so
coming to
ironic.
Idaho.
I know. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I think having that as a background definitely helped me not turn into the worst part of Idaho. And I'm very grateful that I at least have some even just knowledge and understanding that I am ignorant in so many ways and that there's a lot that I need to actively pursue in order to just not turn into the worst possible thing.
Okay. Well, sorry you feel that way.
I know. It sucks. Well,
Uh,
it's like I wanna say that, the small towns that I'm near are the one small town that I'm near is, definitely better, and improving. I plan on going to the Pride Festival, um, that's coming up, and being a part of that, which it's amazing that there's a Pride Festival at all
yeah,
in in this area. So that's
that's
awesome
good.
and
Yeah.
amazing. I'm super interested in attending and checking it out and seeing what's up. But I also know that on the flip side of that coin, in the other small town near me, is a hugely dense religious population that has made it very clear that their religion is the only religion, and anyone who doesn't follow those rules just aren't worth your time. And I'm caught in between these two very extreme things.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that that is even an issue in this country
Mhm.
still. I mean, like, it's ridiculous that
It's
you
incredibly
would judge
ridiculous.
another person that at all.
Mhm.
You shouldn't judge a person for anything. Everyone should be just an open book, in my opinion. But,
Agreed. And
um,
even if we're playing by religion rules, God is the only one that can judge me.
exactly. If God exists.
If he exists. I fucking know. Or
Yeah.
her, or she, or they. I
Yes.
don't fucking
Yes.
know. I don't care.
God, I would love God to be a woman. Okay, but that's a
I
different
would
topic.
love that so much. You have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a pride. You can imagine, Boston is very diverse. There's
I'm
obviously
sure.
a pride festival. I should get you to come to the pride festival
Oh,
here.
that would be
It's
so cool.
enormous. I'm talking about like,
Mhm.
it wasn't really that big, I would say, when I was growing up, but now it is
Mhm.
a complete sea of rainbows and people just oh my God, acting just the most flamboyant I've ever seen in my entire life. And I love every second of it, every single time I'm there, because there's
Nice.
literally, you will never feel out of place. Like, even if you are not in the LGBTQIA plus community, you will feel included because you're an ally and you're there and they love
Mm-hmm.
you because you're there supporting them. You know what I mean? So
Nice.
it feels really nice. Um, Anyway, that's
Mm-hmm.
diversity, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or lack of for
Cer
you.
Certainly wish there was more diversity out here. The most diverse thing I've seen is a fucking Holstein dairy down the
Yeah.
road.
I was gonna ask you, what's food like there?
Bland, boring, and tasteless.
Just selling Idaho for us.
Oh yeah, no, I like the Idaho's travel board is going to fucking hate my ass.
Yeah. Well, their travel board is not trying to get people to come here. You said that they don't want people coming.
It's true.
Um,
It's true. No, we want people to
what's
visit. We don't want them to move.
fair enough. Okay, what's like the signature thing, like food from Idaho? Is there like a signature thing?
Signature food, it has to be potatoes. That's like the thing that Idaho is known for. Is the Ore-Ida potatoes. The Ore-Ida potato plant is like just down the road from me, and there's so many potato farms down here, it's not even funny. Um the potato museum, there's a potato museum in Blackfoot that you can go to, and it's just a museum with potatoes, and it claims to have the world's largest potato, and I'm just like,
That's so interesting.
yeah,
What about Huckleberry?
it's, Huckleberry is very good, I will
Huckleberry
also
was
admit.
founded there, and I don't even know
Hmm.
what that tastes like, to be honest with you.
We gotta get you out here for some Huckleberry.
Uh,
Huckleberry is
I
great.
think
Huckleberry ice
uh,
cream and whatnot.
maybe I'll try to find a place around here instead.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah, I would not.
But
I'm not
Huckleberry
coming there for a
season is
berry.
always Huckleberry season is always a great time to be had. Um I love Huckleberry ice cream, Huckleberry syrup. Uh
Well, that's good.
but yeah, that's kind of it. It's it's very meat and potatoes here. Um when you picture like a steak and a baked potato with sour cream and chives, that's kind of it. That's kind of what we got. And I mean not like any sort of fancy steak with like a butter sauce or any sort of like anything there. It's like salt, pepper steak, maybe some A1 steak sauce on the side, and
Sorry, I'm looking at a
a
list.
baked potato.
I'm looking at a list. Apparently, your state is the one that founded iced wine,
Interesting.
aka wine, and you just put a bunch of ice cubes in it. Which, by the way, if you're Italian, is so disrespectful because you're not
Yeah.
supposed to water down wine.
Yep.
It's already watered
Well,
down.
we wanted it cold, and ice is the fastest way to
Put
make
it in
it
the
cold.
fridge. Put it in the fucking fridge. Okay.
I don't know.
That's so interesting.
See, now I'm learning stuff because I didn't know that was a thing. I had no idea that's where iced wine originated, was from fucking Idaho, but I could totally believe that.
Um, Massachusetts food. A
Mhm.
lot of stuff that originated here was mostly seafood, as you can imagine,
Sure.
because we're right on the coast.
Right.
New England clam chowder
Mm.
actually used to be called Boston clam chowder. I don't know if you knew that until it
Didn't
became
know
a
that.
phenomenon, and then it was New England clam chowder because they decided to start. They first spread it out through the entire New England area, and
Sure.
now, of course, it's a fucking entire United States phenomenon now. So it's
Right.
like, you know, um, it's for New England clam chowder, even though it should
Exactly.
be Boston clam chowder.
Right.
It's like, what do you call it? Brussels waffles versus Belgian waffles. It's the same idea.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Another thing is scallops started here.
Mm.
I don't know if you knew that.
I
The
didn't know
first
that.
scallops ever were actually basically roasted here and baked here.
That's so interesting. I would have pictured scallops being French.
Nope, it was here.
That's so interesting. All right.
We are also the first. Apparently, we are the first. Um, well, of course, Boston cream pie. Of course, we all know
Sure.
about that.
Oh yeah,
We also have. We were the first apparently to do crab legs. Apparently, as like
yeah.
an actual
Interesting.
meal. Um,
Hmm.
I'm also
Yeah,
looking
I
at
could definitely see
this.
that more of like a side item before, but
Yeah.
now that you mention it, like a full on freaking Dungeness king crab.
Yeah, and then of course to add on to the scallops, if it
Mm-hmm. Of
wasn't, we always have to find some way to make something unhealthy, so we did bacon wrapped
course.
scallops. Those were the originally from well,
That sounds about right.
yeah,
God, you're making me hungry now.
I know. We
That
already
sounds
had
so
a
good.
food episode.
I
We're gonna have
know.
more though. We always have. Here, that's
Ah.
oh yeah, fried clam bellies. I had fried clam bellies the other day.
Hmm.
From this place called Sully's. It's a Castle Island for those of you who know where that is, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a very famous fort here, in Massachusetts that used to overlook the entire Massachusetts Bay.
Hmm.
Um, have you ever had fried clam bellies?
No.
Oh, do
I've
you oh,
had
do
Rocky
you
Mountain oysters.
do you like seafood? You like
I
seafood, yeah?
enjoy some seafood.
Okay, fried clam bellies is delicious.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's very
I that
heavy, but
that
it's
sounds
delicious.
very good. That sounds
Yes.
very good. I love clams. Clams are fantastic. One of the better muscle groups.
I'm just looking at what else is here
Mm-hmm.
as well.
You're good. I've pretty much said mine. You want a hamburger? Hamburger and fries. You
All right.
want a steak? Steak and a baked potato. You want curry? Then you go somewhere else because we don't do that. I mean, I guess there is some like fish. You could have trout or
Well,
like
there's one here. It's the reason.
salmon.
Sorry, I paused because there's one here
Sure.
that's very interesting, and I don't know if it originated here or if it originated in Ireland. But
Mm.
Irish bread apparently was created by two Irish people who
Mhm.
founded an Irish bakery here in Massachusetts, and they made it famous here, apparently. I don't know if
Interesting.
that's correct, but basically Irish
That would be
bread,
sick.
which for those of you who do not know, it's essentially like baked bread with raisins in it.
Mm.
Um, Apparently they made it famous here. I didn't know that was a
Mm.
thing. I could have swore that was more in Ireland.
Sure.
Um,
No, I mean, but there are tons of foods out there that like originated here in the United States, and we just call it because it's exotic. It's
oh,
exotic.
sorry, I'm looking at this list. Fluffernutters. Do you know what that is?
No, and I'm not entirely sure I want to know.
It's peanut butter and fluff sandwich. You know what
Oh,
fluff
oh,
is?
like marshmallow fluff?
Yes, marshmallow fluff. Yes. Which, by the way, I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was not common until because they used to do that every single day in my elementary school,
Hmm.
which is so interesting.
Interesting.
And how
Yeah,
could we forget Boston baked beans? Hello,
Yep, yep,
Boston
yep,
baked
yep,
bean.
yep, yep,
Hoodsie
yep.
cups originated here. Really?
I
I
have
didn't
no
know
idea
that.
what that is. You're saying things that I just don't know anymore.
Hoodsie cups? Those are
What the fuck is that?
iconic.
To
You're
you,
blowing my mind here. I didn't know that was not nationwide.
and you still haven't explained what it is. The
It's a
fuck is a hoodsie cup?
it's a small little cup of ice cream. But
Oh,
it's in plastic. It's like called Hoodsie. That's the name of the company.
oh. Maybe we've had something like that. That sounds vaguely familiar, but
What?
I've never.
I used to have those all the time as a kid. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
I don't.
That one
I,
is that
I
just threw me
don't
for a loop there.
remember. I don't remember that.
Anyway, anyway, enough with the food. I'm getting hungry.
Indeed. Yeah,
Yeah, food is a very big part of Massachusetts culture. I don't know if you figured that out
sure.
by now. It's because again we
Obviously.
have so many different diverse people coming from all these different parts of the world, and they just bring their food with them. I mean, it's great,
Mhm.
great.
No, no, it's great. I would say that food is also important to Idaho if you only talk about potatoes. Because
Uh,
I'll put money on the fact that the potato that you're probably eating right now was grown in Idaho. I'll
mhm.
put money on that. Or Oregon, but like Oregon and Idaho, we share the same volcanic basin, so like
Yeah,
yeah. But like
Yellowstone.
it probably came from the Ida potato company in some fashion.
Got it.
Because we supply so much goddamn potatoes everywhere. It's insane. But that's
Um,
it. That's all. That's
Let
all
me
we've got.
ask you a hard question for you.
Okay.
What is your, well, first off, what is your favorite thing about Idaho? Because that's going to be a really tough question.
That's going to be a real tough one. Um, the favorite thing that I have about Idaho. Can you skip me and go to the next contestant?
Yes, I'll ask the wall next.
Thank you. Shit. I like I guess I have to go back to the scenery, I guess, and talk about how beautiful nature is, but that also feels like a half-hearted answer because you walk the same trail and you do the same thing over and over and over again for most of your life, and it never appealed to me because I get bored of things relatively easily. I haven't been diagnosed and don't take any medical advice from me at all, but I probably have some sort of spectrum ADHD thing going on, maybe, potentially. So there's a lot of just sitting out in the middle of nowhere doing nothing that is so boring and upsetting that
I get
I don't
that.
like it. And I don't like it. There's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. I have to travel 3 fucking hours to go to the
This was
closest
supposed to
city.
be the best thing, not the worst.
I know. I'm sorry.
So the best thing is the
It's
scenery, but it's
the
also
best the
boring. Got
best
it.
thing is it's really hard to come up with a best thing because there's just so many things that normal Idaho people do that I don't. I don't go hunting. I don't ride mountain bikes. I don't dirt bike. I don't play sports or do any sort of like intense physical activity like rock climbing or any of that stuff. That does not interest me, and because it doesn't interest me, I miss out on so many things because that's kind of all you
Yeah.
can do here.
Yeah, it does sound to me like Idaho is a very outdoorsy state, like very much
Very.
so. Which
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
I mean, I love that stuff too, but like I'm like
Sure.
you. I feel like I would get bored of that very fast if I
Mhm.
lived there. Um my favorite thing about Massachusetts, particularly where I live, is
Mhm.
location. And I think even so, like going particularly to the state of Massachusetts, I'd
Mhm.
still say location because I can drive 4 hours north and I get to Portland, Maine. I can drive
Mhm.
4 hours south and I get to New York City. I can drive 5 hours west and I get to Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And then I also have the ability to go out to Springfield. If I go a little further down, we can get to New Jersey. I mean, there's just like so many.
Mhm.
It's very surprising at how um, people forget how small New England actually is compared to other states like Texas, for instance. It takes you four
Mhm.
hours to get through the whole state, um, or sometimes
Mhm.
like more.
Right.
But with New England, you can drive to like if you drive 4 hours in one direction, you can go through like 3 or 4 different states. You know, and I think
Mhm.
that's why I love Massachusetts is the location. just in general.
Mhm.
If you're talking about where I live in particular, I can drive and get to Boston. I can drive and get to the Cape. I can drive the other way and get to Providence. I mean, it's just I live
Mhm.
very close to a lot of stuff. So I would say location is my favorite thing.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. It reminds me of that. You see that TikTok where it's like some British person complaining about how uncultured most of American is, and then the guy cuts in. It's like, that people can drive like for 5 straight hours and be in the same state, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I know. It's
I love
crazy.
that. I love that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I just would definitely like it more if I had more stuff around, more stuff to do.
Yeah. What
I just don't.
what's your least favorite? That's also a
Uh,
hard question because
well,
there's so many
it
things you
is
don't like.
also there are so many things I don't like. I'm torn between my previous answer of the things that I like,
The scenery, okay.
the scenery, and I think the people. There's a lot of
Ex-
very friendly
I
people.
was gonna say
Huh.
explain more about that
Yeah, yeah,
because I
yeah.
don't want you to offend every single
Oh,
person who lives in this state.
definitely not. No, there's definitely there are some very friendly people in Idaho. People that are out there to help you. Whenever you see those kinds of movies where you're out in the middle of the sticks somewhere and you can walk up to somebody's house, say that my car is broken down, can I borrow your phone? And this kind old whatever says, "Yeah, sure, come in, here's some tea and a cookie. Call whoever you need to call and everything will be fine." Like, that's great. There are people like that live here, and it's fantastic. And then there are others who are very closed-minded. They are very resistant to change and will fight physically tooth and nail to make sure that change just doesn't happen. It's scary for them to even understand that change is a part of life and that different ideas, different cultures, different people exist. And I think it's very frightening when I see uh even local news talking about some act of violence because they just didn't understand, or they didn't want to understand, or they didn't like whatever the different thing was. And it's heartbreaking, it's terrifying, and it's it's frustrating that that's even still a thing, still exists.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So I
that's
would say that would be my least favorite. Is that's probably more prevalent. I wouldn't say that it isn't prevalent in Massachusetts, but it's definitely more prevalent and probably more overlooked than it would be in somewhere like Boston.
yeah, because I mean, I'll say this, like, I mean, this is gonna be the case wherever you go. I mean,
Mhm.
I've met some incredibly closed-minded people here as well. And,
Mhm.
the difference with the closed-minded people here is that they still tend to be more a little bit on the progressive side here.
Mhm.
So, while they're still unhappy with the change, they
Mhm.
understand their place and they understand that not everybody agrees with them, so they don't stuff it in your
Sure.
face a lot, which is kind of nice.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that doesn't happen here. I get it stuffed in my
Yeah, well,
face
there are some people
a
that stuff
lot.
it in your face here, but then those people are shut up by the majority.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, that's the majority for me.
oof.
It's all the face stuffers.
Yeah, and I mean,
Ugh.
it is what it is. It's just,
It is.
different part of the country, right?
Oh yeah, different strokes for different folks. And I have the internet. The World Wide Web has been an incredible resource since its conception, and it has allowed me in my small town community to meet you
Yeah.
in your not small town community.
Yeah. Just a small town community in a different, bigger area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Different sense.
I mean,
And
yeah,
I
it's
love
it's
that.
it's
I love
crazy that
that.
I was able to meet somebody from Idaho and
Mhm.
just, become
And you
best.
could too for the right price.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
If you
No.
wanna meet a real Idahoan, I gotta get paid.
Yeah. um yeah, so I mean it's great. I've been best friends with Max somehow for this long. And
Mhm.
I've been able to meet him because of the internet, and it's
Mhm.
it's great. It's great. I would say my least favorite thing about Massachusetts has nothing really to do with closed-minded people, thankfully.
Mm.
Um
Good.
Mine is, I gotta say, the hustle and bustle
Really.
attitude. I I already have generalized anxiety in g-
Mhm.
in general, no pun intended. And I'm not, again, I'm also not diagnosed with that, but I know I have it because I can feel it.
Mhm.
Okay. Um so don't take any medical advice from me either.
Right.
But I have generalized anxiety. I'm worried about what people think about me all the time, and I'm worried that I'm going to disappoint everybody. So the hustle and bustle attitude really, really drains me because
Mm.
there's just this concept, and I don't know who came up with this, but for those of you who do not know, I work in retail as my day job, and then I have a bunch of other side business, well, including this podcast. And
Mhm.
so there's this concept in retail that there's something that really bothers me. In retail, you can't sit down.
Mm.
That's something that has always bothered me because in America, or at least on the East Coast in particular, if you sit down, you're considered lazy.
Mhm.
When I'm standing for 9+ hours. And so why can't I sit down for 5 minutes? It's like, it's the idea that if you are not moving, if you're not
Mhm.
constantly up doing something, if you are not constantly showing your managers that you're working,
Mhm.
if you're not constantly, you know, doing something that involves making money, then you are considered lazy in
Mm.
New England, and particularly Massachusetts. It's much, much, much worse in New York City. But
I'm sure.
in Massachusetts in particular, it's trickled into this area too. And I would say it's trickled into a lot of New England, but mostly Massachusetts and New York. And
Mhm.
I'm just tired of it.
Mhm.
I'm tired of constantly feeling exhausted because I'm being told to hustle and bustle. And if I'm not, like, one of the things that also really pisses me off is that, I also have insomnia. That's something I've always had. If it comes with my anxiety. And
Mhm.
it's crazy to me because, you know, with my insomnia, I always constantly feel tired because I don't get enough sleep, because I'm worried that I'm not making enough money because I'm not being productive. And
Right.
it's just a trickle effect that leaks into the rest of your personality. And
Mhm.
I'm I'm tired of being seen as unproductive when I'm just lounging about doing something. Or, like, the other
Right.
thing is, like, you know, something that I've always kind of grown up with, unfortunately, is that if I sleep in, like, for
Mm.
instance, today, my body was screaming at me to have a rest day today. I slept in till 1:30 p.m. I don't
Mhm.
usually do that, but today I went to sleep last night at around 1 o'clock in the morning, which is the normal time for me. I usually wake up around 8 or 9
Sure.
o'clock. And for some reason, last night I needed 12 hours of sleep. I'm not
Mhm.
exactly sure why, but I needed 12 hours of sleep. And I don't think I should be shamed for getting the rest that my body clearly needed. Why am I being shamed for that? That's something that is a very common culture here in New England.
Mhm.
And, if you wake up past 10 o'clock, then you're considered lazy. And I don't like that about Massachusetts.
Yeah. I would say that that's even just Americana brand. 'Cause we even get that a lot of that out here as well. I blame it on like the Protestant work ethic and World War II are kind of where I probably blame where that became the iconic work schedule. But I mean, even out here in the sticks, farmers they have to be up way early to feed cattle, to get the day going, to start stuff happening. So if you're not up like before the sun rises, you're already late and you're already
Yeah.
missing out on so much opportunity.
But see, I get that because that
Right.
involves living things. Like you are
Exactly.
literally raising livestock. Like
Right.
that should be considered unproductive if you don't wake up early. But with
Right.
like my job, I work in technology.
Mhm.
We don't open our doors until 10 o'clock. Why am
Mhm.
I considered lazy if I sleep until 9:30? Why am I considered lazy if on my day off I sleep until 11 o'clock? That's just, I don't
Mhm.
like that. I don't like that mentality. You got to get rid of that mentality. Let
I
people
agree.
sleep when they want to sleep and wake up when they want to wake up.
I
Unless it
agree.
affects your actual job or your livestock,
Right.
let people
It's
sleep.
all it's all hustle culture. Everybody's trying to hustle to get the new big thing, the new money, the yacht, the better body, the whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, I hate to cut this episode off, but we have to end it because we're pushing the one
Are
hour
we?
mark here.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so I have to. We can't go past an hour because the
Nope.
file size ends up being too big for the fucking
Mhm.
podcast website, which is fine. Um,
Mhm.
Acast, we love you. Thank you for publishing our stuff.
Love you,
Um,
Acast. We
um,
want you to sponsor us.
yes,
That
yes,
would be great.
yes. Make it so that I can upload more space. Um, anyway, so final thoughts, Max.
Don't come to
Don't
Idaho.
move to Idaho.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. There's nothing here. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm doing the kindest thing. Don't fall into the trap I did.
Well, you were born into it. You didn't fall into it.
Ah.
um, my advice: come move to Massachusetts if you have the money. If you don't have the money,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, can't really help you. It's a very expensive state, but it's great diversity, lots of great people, lots of great food, lots of great everything. Um,
Mhm.
just be prepared to work a lot and be scolded if you don't.
Mm.
That's my advice. Okay. Um, anyway,
Alright.
why don't you do the outro? I did the
Oh,
intro.
okay, I'll do the outro. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very interesting episode on the Dialogue Dome. Tell us in the comments your state, maybe some of the things that you like or don't like. Tell us about some of your culture and history and food and maybe some of your experiences. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell, the little notification icon, so that you can see when we post new stuff and new episodes.
To our
Um,
Patreon. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah, we see you out there. Thank you so much for the money. I love it. But this has been Max and Brendan. Thank you for stopping on by and enjoying just a little, like another little rant throughout our day. I don't know how to end these anymore.
It's
Goodbye.
okay. Goodbye. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks
Goodbye.
for listening.